Hello, my name is Ronnie Raviv, and I don't think I really have favorite things, but I have a lot of things that I like a lot, and you can hear all about them in this week's Finding Favorites.
Welcome to the Finding Favorites podcast, where we explore your favorite things without using an algorithm. Here's your host, Leah Jones.
Hello and welcome to Finding Favorites. I'm your host, Leah Jones. It's Sunday, August 27th. Really a beautiful, perfect day in Chicago after that brutal heat wave earlier in the week. Nice to have the windows open and to eat dinner outside today. Not too much to report other than my shoulder MRI shows what seems to be a completely boring small rotator cuff tear. So hopefully I will have some resolution to my shoulder pain soon. The orthopedist I saw last week said, shit, your shoulder is jacked, which I think is sports for let's take this injury seriously. This week on the podcast, I am talking with one of my very dear friends, Ronnie Raviv. You have heard about him on the podcast for years because he kept me company during a lot of chemotherapies and steroid Saturdays. We went to Israel on overlapping trips recently, so we just had that fabulous dinner in Tel Aviv. We talk about that a little bit. So I twisted his arm and said, come be on a podcast. Now, he does not listen to podcasts. He's not into the audio medium of podcasting. So I don't know if he will ever listen to this. But we have a fun conversation just sitting around bullshitting on the couch for an hour or so and hit record. So without further ado, wear your mask, wash your hands, get your booster. I know a new booster is coming out soon, so I guess wear your mask more diligently while you wait for the new booster to be available. And keep enjoying your favorite things. Hello and welcome to Finding Favorites. I'm your host, Leah Jones, and then this is the podcast where we learn about people's favorite things and get recommendations without using an algorithm. Today I'm joined in a rare in-person interview for Finding Favorites with my own personal algorithm. You do all the research that Wirecutter doesn't do for me, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Which we just found out recently, you didn't know what Wirecutter was.
No, I had no idea. You introduced me to Wirecutter.
Right. So Wirecutter is modern consumer reports.
Yeah, basically.
And then anytime I need a new phone, you are my consumer reports.
Yeah. I would just from like the one article that I read, or the one article with like all the links to the other articles that I read, I wouldn't describe it necessarily as the modern consumer reports. I would describe it as the less nerdy consumer reports. So less charts and figures and more recommendations.
Yes.
It's a curated
Fair.
consumer reports, maybe.
Fair. I'm fine with them doing all the research for me.
Sure.
Because I am too lazy.
Yeah.
I would rather buy it be the wrong thing, never return it, and buy another thing. I wouldn't rather that, but that's more likely how my life goes.
Right. Yeah, no, I'd just rather would buy the right thing to begin with.
Yes. Right. Which is why every 2 years when I'm at Verizon and it's time to buy a new phone, I call you with no warning and I'm like, what phone am I buying today?
Right. Yeah.
And I've done that for 15 years,
Yeah.
at least. Once I went away from my BlackBerry.
Which I think we're all happy for.
Yeah. So Ronnie, usually this is when, so this is like the time of the podcast where people get to know the guest.
Okay.
And often where I'm getting to know the guest because usually they are complete strangers.
Right.
And you're not.
No, we've known each other for, I was trying to do the math. I feel like 21 or 22 years we've known each other.
Yeah.
And we've known each other well for maybe 18 years.
Yeah.
And we know each other very well for 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I think that's fair.
about right.
I moved here in Memorial Day 2002
Okay.
and started going to open mics immediately,
Yeah.
and very quickly got to the Tequila Roadhouse.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Tequila Roadhouse.
And their crack fries. The
Yeah, they
cheese
were good.
fries that were, I don't know what they put on them.
They were
but
so
amazing.
good. Well, there was my cousin's friend's boyfriend maybe was in conservatory with you.
Who?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I think he was Greek.
Okay.
Or he had a friend in... I don't remember. Somehow
How?
I wound up at one of your conservatory shows.
Second
At
City
Second City.
Second City Conservatory, right?
Which quickly led to Tequila Roadhouse.
Yes, because many of the people I was going through group, and that improv group not only did stuff but also held an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
First at Tequila Roadhouse, then they went to Wise Fools.
Yep.
Neither of which are around because this is over 20 years ago.
Yeah. So it was a mixed bag open mic.
Yes, very.
So I did stand-up comedy, and you were reading your as of yet unfinished novel.
As of still yet unfinished novel. Yes.
And you would read a chapter a week.
Yes. That was probably the most productive time because I had the actual deadline to like do the chapters a week. But the way I write, I don't outline or plan ahead. I sort of have to get into the fugue state, which means that every time I sit down and write, I don't necessarily remember what it was that I wrote because I'm in a bit of a fugue state.
Right.
And that's generally how I read books as well. I don't remember things after. I just sort of get the good feeling
Yeah.
of them. So now it's just become this daunting mountain because as the chapters pile up, every time I sit down, I have to reread the whole thing to get into that flow. And it's just like, if I have an hour to write, that's all well and good, but it'll take me like 3 or 4 hours just to read the thing to like get into the, and I don't have 3 or 4 hours. Let's be honest. I probably do. I just don't have the.
You don't have it set aside. You haven't scheduled in.
Right.
Reread the novel. Write a new chapter.
Before I write a new chapter.
Right.
So I'll spend 3 hours rereading it to write a few pages. And then the next day I have to like reread a bunch to get into the.
Right.
So it just doesn't really happen. So maybe one of these days I'll outline what I actually want to have happen, and that will help spur me on to like, oh, now I need to write this thing that happens. But I don't even know what will happen. It just sort of happens as it happens.
Yeah.
That's why I always wrote short stories when I was in college.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe you're a short story guy.
I am, but I want to write a novel.
Yeah.
I'm better suited for short stories. It's the same thing with improv.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did improv in college and we did short form improv, like
right.
improv games. And that's what I was good at because I'm good at that kind of quick joke thing. And then I went through the conservatory program at Second City after many different things, the twists and turns of my life, and then ended up there. And I appreciate improv, long form improv as an art form, and I sort of denigrate short form improv as just gimmicky.
Right.
And so I don't like the short form improv as much, but that's the thing I'm better at, and I'm not as good at the long form improv. So now I can't really do improv because the thing that I like I'm not as good at, and
right.
the thing that I'm better at I don't like as much.
Right. But do you have? When's the last time I don't think I've ever seen you do short form improv. I've seen you do sketch.
Yeah, no, you haven't because
I don't even know if I've ever seen you do long form improv.
You have, I think.
Okay.
Well, I guess no, because the conservatory shows were more.
They were sketch.
They were born
out
of improv, so we
right.
would do the improv in the class, and there was a certain amount of improvising on the stage. Like we knew
right.
the beats, we didn't have anything written out.
Right.
Like the sketches weren't scripted, but we sort of knew what was going to happen. So
right.
it's a little more like Curb Your Enthusiasm type.
I guess I mostly remember your musical numbers.
Yeah.
White People Brown Line.
Yes, I did not write that one. But
no,
that was
but
a fun one.
Somebody asked you you look at your watch and somebody asks you the time and you were like, I don't know what time it is. And you put your hand down.
Yeah. I You have more of a memory of that than I do.
I think because at the time I lived on I took the Brown line a bunch, and every time I get on the Brown line, I would think about the song.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, White People Brown Line. That was a brilliant piece of work. I did a song that was a parody of Modern Major General.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful. It was like a victim of the new economy or something, which at this point is like 3 economies ago.
Right.
Because this was in the early aughts.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a lifetime.
It's been so long.
So yeah, so the last time I did improv, I think is when my undergrad improv group, this is pre-pandemic, came through Chicago. They would come through Chicago, New York, or LA. So every 3 years they'd come through Chicago. And then they did a little show to basically no audience. It's just really for us.
Yeah.
And then they called on the alums to come, and I thought we were just gonna do a quick little scene like what we would do at reunions, like a world's worst, or I like my women or men like I like my blank or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, they then said, okay, now you're gonna do. Now all the alums, now you're gonna do a long form improv.
Oof.
Which, so when I was going through that group, it's called Quipfire.
Yeah.
When I was going through it, we only did short form improv.
Right. Because it was before UCB. It was before the Herald had made it to New York.
Yeah, this was in the early mid 90s. So we only did short form improv, and so the only reason I even luckily for me, I had gone through the Second City experience, so I had experience with long form improv.
Right.
But so this was in I think 2017.
Okay.
And my last experience with long form improv was in 2002.
Yeah.
So, and I was by far the oldest alum there. The next oldest alum was from the class of 2009.
Okay.
So, the next oldest alum, who was sort of complaining that they hadn't done improv in a while, had done it at that point. Quipfire had done long form improv when they were in school, and so they had last done it in 2009. Meanwhile, I had last done it before they were even in school.
Right before they were in grade school.
I think
not quite that far.
Not quite that far, but they were in probably junior high
Right.
the last time I did long form improv.
Right.
And that only by luck, because previous to Second City, I'd only done short form improv. So I felt like I was a fish out of water, but somehow didn't crap the bed too bad, I guess. I don't know. We did okay. It was only for us, so it didn't really matter.
Right.
Low stakes, no stakes.
Yeah.
No stakes improv.
Eventually I gave in and I did the 5 classes at Annoyance when I was managing the ice cream parlor.
Right.
Because
also many lifetimes ago.
Many lifetimes ago. Because I was so tired of people asking me if I did improv. I was like, I do stand-up comedy sometimes.
Ironically, because literally everybody who does improv, their families all assume that they are stand-up comedians.
Right.
It's like, oh, do some stand-up comedy for it. It's like, that's not what I do. I do improv. Okay, well then do improv. It's like, no, it's a group thing. I can't just stand up here and do improv by myself.
No. But you did have me come out once and do stand-up comedy for your parents' friends for Purim.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I wasn't. I don't think I. Well,
you were
there.
I
was there.
I
was there.
would
I
not
was
have
there.
gone without you.
No. And you did it, and you were brave. They were a welcoming audience.
They were a welcoming audience.
You had. You had my favorite joke, my favorite Leah joke. Well, we don't necessarily have to.
Was it about the date with the little person?
No.
I remember that one being.
No, it was the learning Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
That you then needle pointed for me, and I still haven't hung, but I will in my new place.
Yeah. Right. So Ronnie helped me when I was learning the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. We would go to Jack's for a chicken pot pie, and sometimes I would drag out these giant workbooks and make him help me with Hebrew. And when I had finally gotten really confident that I could know the alphabet in order, I was like, Ronnie, I have learned everything from Aleph to Zion.
Which, translated from A to Z, except it's really more like, if you're familiar with the Greek alphabet, from alpha to zeta. And that's the 7th letter of the alphabet.
Yeah. So for Ronnie's 40th birthday, I cross-stitched him something that said Met Aleph Ad Zion.
Yeah, from A to Zeta.
Right. So essentially, right. I've learned everything from A to F.
Yeah.
Which honestly, appropriate.
Yeah.
Because I had not learned Hebrew from A to Z. Like,
No, probably not.
I can't even function anymore. My Hebrew used to be better, but everybody in Israel's English got way better, and also technology got way better.
Yeah, it's not as important anymore.
No.
But I remember that crowd really liked that joke.
Right.
Because it was a crowd of Hebrew speakers.
Right.
So they were all right there. That was the crowd.
It was the only crowd I
for
didn't have to
sure.
explain the punchline to.
Yeah, yeah.
The one time,
Like
yeah.
we just did here.
Right.
But jokes are always better when you have to explain the punchline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So I did improv at Annoyance, but I've never performed it outside of a class. So
It's all right.
that's fine with me.
Yeah, it's okay.
I understand it, and I understand I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of right there with you. It took me a longer time to understand that.
Yeah. That you didn't want to do it anymore, or to understand it.
Both, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I was in a more because I started with the short form,
Right.
which is like the games and the jokiness.
Right. The Whose Line Is It Anyway?
The Who's Line. That's exactly
You're
what we based
rewarded
it on.
for puns and jokes and dad jokes and
Yes.
quick thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I was really good at.
Yeah. That's what you're still really good at.
Yeah, I think so. I'm okay at it for sure.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like improvising long scenes where you have to like react and have emotions and whatever, I'm not as good as that. Not as good at that.
That's how we met. And then comedy ended. Comedy didn't really end. I got transferred to London. So I was like, and you finished conservatory. And I think by the time I was back from London, I think the Tequila Roadhouse might have been closed.
I think it was around for maybe a little longer than that, but they were no longer doing the open mic.
Yeah. Yeah, and we ran into each other at a board game. It's a bar on Addison. Starts with a G.
Guthrie's?
Guthrie's.
I have no recollection of this. You know me. I sort of have no recollection of things.
Yeah. I remember it clearly, somewhat clearly, and then I recently searched my blog to see if I had when it happened.
Okay.
And I reference people that I'm like, I reference someone named Jamie, and I'm like, who the fuck is Jamie?
Jamie Allen, probably, no?
No, like I was there with my friend Jeff from high school, or Jeff from college. Jamie might have been his girlfriend at the time.
Oh, a girl. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know the description of the people that I say I walked in with.
Oh, okay.
And then you, because I had moved to London and quit comedy. And we figured out, like, oh, hey, what's up? Sold your number. And so then we went for chicken pot pie
Nice.
shortly thereafter.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
chicken pot pie was so good.
Yeah.
So, alas, it's gone.
Also, R.I.P. Jack's.
Yeah.
And long before they were closed, R.I.P. the chicken pot pie.
Right. R.I.P. the chicken pot pie, more so than Jack's.
Yeah.
And then the Diag.
Yeah.
Both R.I.P.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the chicken pot pie was gone long before that, and that was really the big tragedy of the whole thing.
Was the chicken pot pie gone before your ability to process dairy?
No, it was worth it.
Yeah.
No, my inability to process dairy disappeared before the chicken pot pie did, but it was worth it.
Yeah. That's another conversation locked in my brain because it was so insane. Because you picked me up from the Fullerton station and you pretended like I had any choice about where we were going to dinner.
Right.
Which was nice of you to pretend.
Right.
And then you said, Leah, you know the type of chicken pot pie that you dream of? And I was like, I do not dream of chicken pot pie.
I see. You remember this as a dream of. I feel like it. I wouldn't have put it that way. Maybe I did at that point, but I sort of always see it as, when you have a hankering for chicken pot pie,
Mm-hmm.
and you sort of have in your mind's eye what you're sort of picturing. You're
Right.
like, ooh, I could go for that.
Right.
And then you order it, and it's like, oh, well, that's not really what I was picturing. It is a
Right.
chicken pot pie, but it's not the chicken pot pie I had in my brain.
Yes.
This place had that chicken pot pie.
Yeah. And I was very skeptical
Of course. As was everybody I told this story to and brought there.
And you were, of course, correct, because they baked it in individual. You had a crust pinched onto the top of your bowl.
Yeah. But it was beyond that. I think it was like the sauce, the like a la king sauce or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just the chicken, the combination of vegetables, the proportions, the sauce, the
Yep.
flavor, the crust, like all of it. It was like the platonic ideal of a chicken pot pie.
Right.
And I had many a convert to that chicken pot pie.
It was good.
It was great. And
Yeah.
then the chef left and they could not recreate it.
No.
And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then they closed and it became a sports bar.
Yeah. And then somehow it was the last time we went, I think it was probably my 40th.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been closed for a while.
Yeah. But that's where we went after. That was where the after party was.
Okay.
Was Diag.
Okay.
Because it was walking distance.
Yeah.
So, according to the pictures I have.
Yeah, I don't recall that either.
No, I don't have a lot of memories.
Right.
That night.
Yeah, no, that night was a bit of a blur.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the origin story.
Yeah.
Is comedy. And then happenstance. Happenstance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people who listen to the podcast have heard about you. Matthew David Brozick, one of your best friends from college, has been a guest.
Yep.
And people have certainly heard about you on Steroid Saturdays.
Yep.
One of my Mayo Clinic road trip buddies.
Mm-hmm. The OG hospital husband.
The OG hospital husband. Yes. And you still proudly wear your pen. That was really sweet. So one of the things when we talked about favorite things, like what would you talk about as favorite things? First, you were like immediately, I don't have anything.
No, I've been racking my brains, and I have no favorite things. I have a lot of things I dabble in and things that I like.
Right.
I like a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm a fairly easygoing sometimes guy. I'm easygoing in a sort of very high maintenance way.
I joked last night about you being Sally Albright, but you are Sally Albright from When Harry Met Sally.
I mean,
You are easygoing in the way that Sally Albright is easygoing.
I think maybe not quite that heightened, but yeah, there's certainly some truth to that for sure. Yeah, no, I like a lot of things.
Yes.
I also hate a lot of things, but I like a lot of things, and I'm sort of, generally fairly open to whatever as long as they're a certain way.
You'll eat almost anywhere as long as you can order around the menu, which is true.
Yeah, because there are a lot of I'm picky eater, bit of a super taster,
Yeah.
but not an adventurous super taster. Well, no, that's not true.
I don't think that's fair.
I'm adventurous. I just am picky.
You are adventurous if you trust the chef.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we could even just talk about great meals we've had together.
Yeah, we've had some good ones.
Yeah. Because Taizu in Tel Aviv last year.
Yep.
And OCD.
Yep.
Or both two where you would, I mean, they both places where they took our taste seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, we said what we liked and what
Yeah.
we didn't like and whatever, and pointed them in a direction.
Right.
And they said, okay, trust
Yeah.
us, and they delivered.
Yeah. So I think if the chef can't deliver at that level, you are less adventuresome.
Right, for sure.
Or you will amend the menu to make something better than they have on the menu.
Well, I mean, I try not to be as annoying about it as Sally.
Mm-hmm.
I generally try to say, just eliminate these one or two things that I don't like. And also, if there's like a thing that I have to eliminate 5 things, I'm not going to get that thing.
Right.
I'm going to just get the thing like, okay, I can have this if it's like just take out the raw onions and the avocado and I'm good.
Yeah.
Just like the things that I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't try to like have them do a concoction, except for if there's mac and cheese on the menu and there's chili on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing where things have to be put together.
Yes.
Because that's amazing. Chili
Yeah.
mac is the best thing ever, and I don't know why any restaurant that has chili and that
And
has mac and cheese does not have a chili mac
Yeah.
option. It's silly.
Yeah, it is. I do think we have to get the Perch doesn't have mac and cheese, right?
I don't believe so. They have an amazing chili.
The chili was so good.
The chili was so good, but I did not see mac and cheese on
Yeah.
the menu.
So we'll have to get it to go
And then
go to the mac and cheese
go
place.
to Max. Yeah.
Yeah. Be like, don't worry, we have purse chili.
Yeah. Yeah. We got chili to go.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to talk about OCD
We could.
or something else?
You know, I could throw this back on you.
Okay.
I mean, the name of the podcast is Finding Favorites.
Yes.
So find my favorite. What's my favorite?
Well, your favorite liquor right now is mezcal.
True.
That has
or
been-
tequila. Yes.
Nope, it's mezcal
it is-
is a firm number one.
Mezcal is a firm number one, but with a huge caveat. Like, the bartender, mixologist, whatever, has to be... Mezcal is pickier. It's
Okay.
harder to blend
Okay.
well. So if I don't trust the bartender, I will fall back on tequila, which is easier to deal
Okay.
with. But if the bartender's really good, then mezcal, they can do a better job with the
Okay.
mezcal.
Right. So the mezcal mule has been your go-to cocktail this summer.
Yes, if I
If you trust them
if
to
I
have.
trust them, otherwise I'll go with the Mexico Mule because that's a lot more
Right.
reliable.
Yeah. But I don't know when that, because you're not really a gin drinker because that's a little
No.
too aromatic.
Yeah.
But for a long time it was like vodka or rum, but like tequila I feel like is new on, like, in the last 5 years has gone up your list.
Well, I think it probably was realistically it was there longer than that. I just
Okay.
was maybe afraid of, like I figured because I'm like I don't love the taste of alcohol. I'm like vodka is my thing, and I like and if you go to a bar that doesn't have anything, like you go to an event
Right.
and all they have the most basic stuff, then I'll get a vodka cranberry,
Right.
splash soda and some lime. Um, but if there's a place that, and then for a while I was like, oh, but if you have ginger beer, I'll do a Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
And then I discovered the Mexico Mule, and that it is so much better than the Moscow Mule.
Right.
And then I was also like, at that point I was like, but wait, but also if there's a margarita, I will go for a margarita.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe, really the only vodka drink I like is the vodka cranberry. And I like the Mexico Mule. That's my fallback.
Right.
My go-to. And I like the margarita.
Right.
Maybe tequila's my favorite. And so then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm a tequila guy, and I
Yeah.
didn't know. And then and then I discovered the Mezcal Mule, and I'm like, wow, that just elevates the
Right.
the Mexico Mule to a whole new level. But you go to a bar that doesn't know what they're doing, a Mezcal Mule is gonna be a little more
Bad.
hit or miss.
Yeah. I mean, mezcal has come into its own in America in the last few years. Also,
It's more popular. There were times where there are a lot of bars that still don't have it. But
yeah, and I also suspect, as you and your friends, as like all of our paychecks have changed, and our base level tequila has changed in our houses, like I think there's like we're older, we're middle aged now, so we're not getting like the cheapest tequila, and none of your friends have the cheapest tequila in their house, and so like I also think there's something to be said for like access to better quality tequila. Because the tequila you were introduced to at 21, you probably wouldn't drink today.
Maybe it's about the mixers, the quality of the
Yeah.
mixers. Like ginger beer just really solves a lot of problems for
Yeah.
alcohols in general. But I also think that vodka is a much more consistent thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's bad gin and bad tequila and
Yeah.
certainly bad mezcal.
Yeah.
Vodka, it might be mediocre, you know, but but it's by the same ticket. There's excellent tequilas and excellent mezcals,
Right.
and excellent gins, and there's not really an excellent vodka. Maybe there's a few, but
I have a very nice vodka right now.
exactly a very nice vodka,
It's Polish. It's the Buffalo Grass Polish
Okay.
vodka.
but a very nice vodka. It's not an excellent vodka.
Right.
Vodka can't be excellent because there's just not enough complexity there.
Right.
It's like the best vodkas are the ones that taste least like anything.
Right.
Like the bad vodkas are the ones that like taste a little bit like gasoline, and the excellent vodkas are the ones that taste less like gasoline.
Fair. Fair.
Whereas tequila has the complexity of the brown liquors that I don't like,
Right.
without being the brown liquors that I don't like.
Right. Because the brown
Bitter is not on my favorites.
No.
But it's not just the bitter. It's just that gasoline, turpentine sort of alcohol-y taste.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The peatiness. I don't know. There's something. The barrel.
Yeah.
Because Journeyman, we're plugging so many. You should get all sorts of free stuff.
Oh,
after this.
I would link to all of it, and they give me nothing
Right.
ever. Yeah.
But Journeyman in Three Oaks, Michigan, they have a white whiskey that
That's
they make,
aged in glass.
or it's not aged.
Okay.
They distill the whiskey, but then they don't age it in the barrel. Maybe
So it's
I'm
moonshine.
No, it's whiskey,
Right.
but it just doesn't have that peaty
Yeah.
sort of woody, barrely taste or whatever it is that I don't like about it. That makes an excellent mule.
Yeah.
And they also have this drink called the OCG, the Old Country Goodness. It's like an apple cinnamon
Nice.
cider that they do either straight up or as a frozen slushy, and it's really really good.
That's good.
Yeah. So with a white whiskey. So
Yeah.
That's the only whiskey I will drink, unless it's like a really really cool, complicated
Right.
drink where the whiskey's sort of really balanced out by
Right.
other stuff, like you could get at the aviary.
Yeah.
Plug.
Right. So the aviary and like less so the Violet Hour or what's the one on Damon?
Violet Hours on Damon.
Oh, what's the other one on Damon? Closer to me, Damon and Lincoln.
Uh,
Victor Bar.
Oh, Victor Bar.
Victor
yeah.
Bar.
Yeah.
What the sixth used to
What the
be.
six used to be. Yeah.
So you also, I would say also a favorite thing of yours is a well-crafted, complex.
Very well crafted, interesting cocktail.
Yes.
Yeah. I do like that.
Yeah. Talking to
And-
the microphone,
And
please.
oh, sorry. Yeah. A well crafted, interesting cocktail, or fantastic, in Israel,
Yeah.
or Bellboy
Right.
in Israel, in Tel Aviv.
Imperial.
Imperial was good.
Yep.
La Otra
Yep.
also has very good cocktails.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have.
Blind Barber has good cocktails.
Yep.
There's another place that has had really good cocktails. I can't remember. There's a lot of places with good cocktails.
Yeah. So I think that is. I think like if you're in a new city, not that you go to new cities often.
Right. No, I don't.
If you are returning to a city, so like my friend Dave, he uses Hard Rock cafes as like an excuse to go to a city. He collects going to them just because it gives him a reason to put a city on his itinerary.
'Cause in and of itself, that's a
in and of
terrible
itself.
excuse.
Eh,
But if it gets you to a new city,
it
I guess
gets you there, right?
there. It gets you there. But it's a terrible underlying excuse.
it lets him check off boxes.
Yeah.
Right. There's a list he can check against the list.
Okay.
So that is not you,
No.
and I'm not implying it is.
No.
So if you are returning to a city you've been to before, Tel Aviv, New York, Chicago, I think you will seek out a new interest. Like you will seek out a cocktail bar
yeah.
as something to do.
Yeah. I'm usually if I'm there on my own. No, that's not true. Look, I'm usually there with somebody,
Right.
visiting somebody, seeing somebody.
Yeah.
So I will get from them what's the good cocktail
Right.
bar. So I went on business to Copenhagen, and so I
Yeah.
made sure that our business contacts told me where the good cocktail bar
Right.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So All right. So there, I've already found mezcal and fancy pants cocktail bars.
Fancy pants cocktail bars,
Yeah.
yes. Girly drinks.
Girly
I'm
drinks,
all
yep.
about the girly drinks.
I was just reading an article this morning about how sometimes men freak out when they're served something in stemware and will like make the bartender put it in a rocks glass.
Oh, my friend Bob hates coupe glasses.
Really?
I don't like martini glasses because martini glasses are stupid because they spill everywhere.
Right.
But a coupe glass, that doesn't spill as much. It does a
Right.
little bit because it's like up to the rim.
Yeah.
But no, my friend Bob hates a coupe. He like will reject cocktails if they come in a coupe. Like he not if they come to him that he won't reject them. But he was like sometimes if he remembers he'll say, "Does that come in a coupe?" He's like, "Oh, then I don't want it."
Yeah. I mean, I will sometimes say, like, is it up or on the rocks? And I will
Right.
often ask for something that's served up to be served on the rocks.
Yeah.
But that's because I love ice.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
And not because I hate. I love ice. I will drink it way too fast in a coupe. Like, if there's not ice in it, it's just, might as well just be a shot.
Right.
So,
I don't know why. I feel
slow
like
myself down.
I do a good job of sipping when it's in the coupe glass.
Yeah.
Something about the coupe glass. Not that I love it or hate it any more
Right.
than anything else, but something about it. I always like if it's in a tall glass.
Uh-huh.
I will down that like nobody's business.
Okay, yeah.
I'll go and like down.
Yeah.
Whereas in the coupe glass, it's like it's like I can see the whole thing and I can sort of take little dainty sips.
And none of it's hiding behind the ice.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're not served with a straw.
Which I never use.
No, you don't.
I very rarely use a straw.
Yeah.
Only if it's like a really like impossible, like it's piled high with ice and other things like sticking out
Yeah.
of the rim.
Like so we had a drink at Fantastique in Tel Aviv with
Which is fantastic.
electric flowers.
Yeah, electric flowers. Look them up on Google.
Which are, I smuggled them home. They're in my purse.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
It's just this little. It's like almost. I don't know how to describe it.
It's not quite a thistle
Yeah.
because it doesn't poke you hurt.
Right.
It's kind of like
It's like
a dandelion.
It's like the inside of the puffball dandelion.
Yeah, before it's opened.
No, after it's open, when you've blown all the puffs off, it's like the round ball, except it's a
Yeah.
little bit bigger and it's a little bit fuzzy.
Right.
And
it's kind of like a pussy willow. Like the
yeah, but yellow.
yeah.
And you bite into it, just a teeny tiny little bite.
Really,
It's
the tiniest
the
amount.
tiniest amount, and it's bitter and it's not great and it doesn't taste good. But just the tiniest amount, just a little tiny nibble, like Alice in Wonderland nibbling on a mushroom. It's just the tiniest little nibble. And then for the next, depending on how big the nibble was, 10, 15 minutes, your tongue feels like it's constantly licking a 9-volt battery.
Uh-huh.
And as you drink something, it enhances that.
Yes.
And it's really, really interesting and cool and different and bizarre
Yeah.
and unpleasant and pleasant at the same time.
I think you have been telling me about it for like 4 years.
Yeah, and you still didn't quite picture it in your head.
No, even
'Cause
once
you were
it was in my
shocked with the
mouth, I did
reality.
not. It was so insane. It was, you are as giddy right now as you were
Yes, it was
in the moment.
It was so wonderful to see the horror, the look of horror and shock on your face of like, what is this? What have I done? What is happening to my insides of my face right now? It was so awesome.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
And then it was, right, like a tequila-based drink with a
Yeah.
lot of ice.
Yeah.
A lot of drama.
Oh yeah, there was like plants sticking out of
Yeah.
it, thorns. I mean, all sorts of stuff. It was.
Yeah.
I think the drink was called like dangerous something with
Yeah.
danger in the name.
Right. But it was very fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really really tasty drink too.
Yeah. I think you did a better job I got whatever. Mine had like Good and Plenty's in it.
Well, yeah, because you wanted something that tasted like licorice.
Yeah, but it was such a literal interpretation of tastes like licorice.
It was
It was Good and Plenty's melting in the bottom of a whiskey drink.
with some bitters that you could inject with a
Yeah.
syringe.
Yeah. It was dramatic and creative, but not delicious.
Right.
I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was, but I'll never order it again.
No. My drink was better, but honestly, the best drink was the one that we ordered with the electric flower.
Yeah. It was very funny.
Which just for the gimmick would be fine, but it was not just a gimmick. It was a really, really good drink.
Right.
Really well balanced with the gimmick.
Yes. Yeah. So that was great. And I had gone to La Otra earlier in the week in Tel Aviv and had some very nice cocktails too. I don't remember what they were because it was all tequila.
Yeah.
And
very few Mexican restaurants in Israel.
Yeah.
A little surprising. Yeah, but I mean, just from like the palate, like you would think, like spicy foods and
right,
cilantro.
Yeah,
it's like all these things.
It's all available. Yeah, it's all
like
there.
Rice. You'd think that it would be really popular in Israel, and for some reason, there aren't that many of them.
For many years, when I would like check a huge bag instead of checking a small bag,
or 3 small bags. 3 medium-sized bags.
And I would take, like, my friend David wanted trash bags. Like, Benji and Tali both wanted, like, El Paso taco seasoning. Like, my friends were like, bring me, like, envelopes of taco seasoning and American trash bags and American toothpaste and aspirin.
Yeah. And then what would you bring back? Israeli ketchup and... My friend, who is a modern Orthodox, would ask me for Doritos because
they're kosher.
Because in Israel they're kosher.
Yeah. I remember an early trip bringing you back like olives.
Yes, you brought olives.
Yeah.
But now you can get them
now
here.
You can get them. Yeah.
I still have those olives and pickles because they were the wrong ones. They're the cracked olives that are bitter. As opposed to the more the Arabic olives that are bitter, as opposed to the kibbutz olives that I like, and it was the cucumbers in vinegar instead of in brine. I still have them.
It's been
they're in my pantry.
It's been at minimum 10 years that I gave you those, possibly longer.
I think more like 8, but yes, it's been a while. They're in the back. Probably not.
They're not.
I'm moving in 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. I will sneak in and take them and throw them out for you. You're not moving them.
Probably not. But it's against my religion to throw food away.
I understand that.
I know. It's possible I gave the olives to my mom because she does like those cracked olives.
Yeah.
But none of us like the pickles and vinegar instead
really
of in brine.
It's also sweet of you to wait 8 years to tell me that I brought you the wrong thing.
I know. I was like, it was so sweet of a gesture. I didn't have the heart to tell you. No, beggars can be choosers. I don't like the free thing you got me.
When my nephews were of a certain age, which is much younger than they are now, I would go to the Shuk in Jerusalem and buy like all of the fake Kinder eggs. Like I would go to the Kinder Egg store that had like all the off-brand, unlicensed Kinder Eggs.
Because they were illegal here for a while.
They're still illegal here.
I thought they weren't. I thought they figured out how to. Because now you can buy. Now they
you
sell them.
You can buy them, but they suck.
Right, because they don't have. Because they've been protected for the litigious American market.
Yes. So there were times when I would like have an entire layer of Kinder Eggs and bootleg Kinder Eggs for the kids of Leroy, Illinois, for the O'Briens and the DeVivos to have like a Kinder Egg unboxing party at my sister's house.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, other favorite things of yours. You consume a lot of TV for someone who is not a TV critic.
Right, I do. I used to consume a lot more, admittedly. I consume less nowadays, but I still consume a lot.
Right.
For sure.
When we met, you had 3 VCRs.
Correct. And then you worked on a client.
On the TiVo account, that's
on the
fine.
TiVo account. Yep. And so I got a TiVo that can record 6 things at once.
Yeah.
Which I still have.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Between those, I had a DVR. I had a Windows Media DVR that could record 4 things at once.
Yeah.
But the hard drives kept going out.
Yeah.
And then I got the TiVo, and I have that to this day. But now I'm not going to have cable in my new place.
Right.
So I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with that.
It's a whole new era.
It's a whole new era.
Yeah.
Because YouTube TV isn't going to quite do it for me, but I'm
Right.
not sure that AT&T Direct TV is going to do it for me. But like I can get internet for sort of free because the building has internet,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's reliable enough, and it won't have the AT&T. Like I'd have to pay extra. So do I want to pay the extra? It's a whole big thing that I have to sort of figure out.
It is going to be a major lifestyle change.
It is going to be a major lifestyle change.
But what is your origin story with TV? Like, how did you when did you go from 1 to 2 to 3 VC? Like, when? I've only ever known you as someone with a huge queue of TV to watch, but I don't know why you watch so much TV.
I don't either. Because it's good escapism. I always liked watching TV. Like I had a TV. I got a small little TV. It's like, I don't know, like a 13-inch TV or something for my bar mitzvah that I had in my room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd watch TV there sometimes. And then I took that to college, and then we would watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like, we'd all cram into and we didn't have cable freshman and sophomore year, so I would like take speaker wire and toss them out the window, like attached to the rabbit ears in hopes of getting a decent signal.
Oh my God.
Because that's how old we are, Leah.
Yeah.
So I always watched that, and then I guess maybe after college I started recording things on the VCR, so I wouldn't because I have friends who will not have plans because they want to go do something, they want to watch TV or something. So I would record whatever because why not? And so maybe a little bit after college that started, but then it really was in earnest during business school.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I collected sort of like a second and maybe even my third VCR in business school, so I could record things but not miss out on social occasions.
Right.
And also there's an additional advantage to that is because if there's an hour-long show that you record, you can zip through the commercials and watch it in 45 minutes. It's very efficient.
That's true.
So yeah, so I think it's I'm all about if I had to pick a favorite thing, it would be efficiency. Which is really the polite way of saying lazy. But yeah, so it was really the efficient thing to do.
Right. And when like comedy, so much of it was at night.
Yeah.
I mean, classes might have been during the day, but like so much of comedy was evenings. And
yeah, so I would be never home, but I wouldn't want to miss out on things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much a homebody.
Right.
I need an inordinate amount of me time.
Right.
I don't like having plans day after day, like night after night after night after night after night.
Right.
I will, even if I'm enjoying all those plans, it just like I get stir crazy. I need my me time. But I don't want to be the kind of person who misses out on plans with friends because, oh no, I have to watch this at home.
Right.
I feel like, that's, you can be addicted to the thing but not make it ruin your life.
Right.
So I just started recording anything that was vaguely interesting and I would watch it.
Yeah.
And my bar for vaguely interesting is pretty low.
Right. It's not reality.
No, I don't do reality TV. And I don't like shows about unpleasant people making bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. So Mad Men.
Yeah, Mad Men, Breaking Bad. I watched a few episodes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Succession.
I haven't even watched that. Because at this point I kind of know. Oh, if this is a show about shitty people making bad decisions,
right,
I'm not going to like it. Because if it's a good person making bad decisions, okay. If it's a shitty person making good decisions, like an anti-hero kind of a thing, like a Dexter or whatever, fine. But if it's like a crappy person who's making bad decisions and gets in trouble for their bad decisions, like I'm not going to root for them to get out of trouble. Like you did this to yourself.
Yeah.
Why do I care if you get out of it?
That's how I felt. I feel like I watched the pilot of Girls, the TV show. It was on HBO.
Yeah, yeah.
Lena Dunham.
Yeah. Adam Driver.
Yeah. And I think I watched the pilot and I was like, oh, I agree with the parents. This show is not for me because I think the parents should be cutting her off. And then I think that was like one of like 5 episodes of the whole series that I ever watched because I was like, no, I think she should be cut off and have to like figure shit out a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that was on during the years that I didn't have HBO.
Yeah.
Because I had HBO for many years while I was, when I first moved into my apartment, because for some reason the cable company screwed up and it wasn't scrambled.
Great.
So I had free HBO and Showtime, and then one day they caught on and they re-scrambled them, and it's not like I could pick up the phone and call them and say, "Hey, how come you scrambled the channels that I'm not?"
Why did my free cable
that I'm
free
not paying
channels
for?
go away? Yeah.
So I, watched the first several seasons of Sopranos and
Yeah.
the first couple seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then I lost HBO, so then I didn't watch those shows anymore.
Well, Sopranos was on Sunday nights right before the Tequila Roadhouse open mic. So sometimes people would watch it at Tequila Roadhouse in the front in the bar and then go to the back for the open mic.
Yeah, maybe. I recorded it.
Yeah. Right. You're going to have to find a whole new system.
Yeah, well now it's streaming DVRs, so you could just have to like hit it, but from what I read, they're not good about time shifting.
Yeah.
Like in my current on the TiVo, I can say, okay, record this show like when it's supposed to be, but then keep recording for another, 3-5 minutes, another hour and a half. Like if there's a baseball game on before or a football game on before, and they're gonna like start it late, I can just keep recording.
Yeah.
But now with these online, these streaming DVRs, you have to sort of set to record the show after it because they can't like extend the show.
Oh.
And they don't know well enough, but you might be able to go back I don't know. It's a whole complicated thing that I'm gonna have to figure out.
Yeah.
So yeah, TV is sort of a favorite.
Yeah.
But again, like I have a lot of things I like, but none of these are my favorites. The Cocktails is probably the closest at this point, but like people ask me, "Oh, what's your favorite show?" If you watch so much TV, I don't have a favorite show. It's just like I watch a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite. Yeah, efficiently. I don't have a favorite though.
Yeah.
I have a bunch that I like. Some I like more, some I like less. But I'd be hard pressed to even say what those are.
Yeah.
I also, it's like with books. I watch a TV show or a movie or a book, and I get the good feeling of it in the moment, and I appreciate it. I enjoy it in the moment. But then ask me what it was about.
Right.
Man, I'll have a tough time.
Yeah.
I just like, it goes out of my head. I'm like, oh, I remember I liked that book. What's it about? I don't know. What happens in it? I don't know. I just remember that I came away thinking it was a great book.
Do you ever come away thinking it's a bad book?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I'll still read it. There's only, I think, 2 books on my list that I have started and not finished.
Which are?
Moby Dick.
Okay.
And Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon, which
Okay.
is weird because there was a time period when like every book I was really enjoying and reading, everybody was describing it as Pynchon-esque, and I'm like, well, it's weird that the one book that I didn't finish is by Thomas Pynchon, but all these Pynchon-esque books I liked.
I thought you were going to say Moby Dick. Either because you have told me before or because in the air affair, she is sentenced to live until she finishes the most boring book in the world.
Book, Air Affair, and I don't remember. I have no recollection.
It's not
of this.
in Air Affair. It's further along in the series.
I've read the whole series, and I have no recollection of what you're saying. This is what I'm talking about. I have no recollection of these things.
Yeah. It is. It's one of my top books I recommend to people.
It's a good series of books for sure.
Especially if people are readers, you're rewarded for being a lifelong reader.
Yeah.
In his books.
Yeah, and there's good wordplay, and it's just clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, Jasper Fforde is very good.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to eventually reading the sequel to my favorite book of his.
The Shades of Grey.
Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
Shades of Grey is an awesome book. Again, don't ask me what it's about because I don't remember. I just remember thinking it was an awesome book.
Do you want me to tell you what it's
No,
about?
I know it's. I vaguely know it's like people can't see certain colors, but some people can see certain colors, but not all of them. But then some people can, like, the more of the spectrum you can see. I don't remember what it signifies, but I just remember there are people who can, like, see greens and people who can see reds, and there's, like, sort of. But I don't really remember anything beyond that.
The caste system is based on how colorblind you are.
Right.
With the people with the best vision at the top, and the most limited vision are at the bottom.
But even the best vision, it's like
It's
they
still,
can really only see one spectrum of
right,
colors.
Right. And it's a coming of age story because at the age 16 you take the test.
Right.
You're allowed to live without a caste until you're 16 or whatever, and then you take the test. And it is the protagonist, I believe, is realizing that if his parents are who his parents are supposed to be, he should not be able to see what he can see.
Right.
So his mom stepped out to get the kid better vision, of a chance of a better future. You don't remember any of that?
That part I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, I like read the book, I enjoy it in the moment, and then I just come away with a good feeling.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the sequel too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for a long time it looked like he wasn't going to do the sequel because it didn't sell that well, even though it's his best book, like, by far.
Yeah.
Like, all of his books are good, but that one is the best book by far.
I think about him a lot during this current war in Ukraine.
Why is that?
Because a detail you don't remember from the air affair,
Right.
is that the Crimean War has been ongoing for 20 years.
Okay.
And everybody in the UK eventually fights in the Crimean War, and it's unending.
Yeah. I regularly remember something about the Crimean War.
Yeah. And so when it was annexed ahead of the war a couple years ago, I was like, is Jasper Fforde, like, actually psychic? Because it was like that. There was something wild that happened with Amazon and Kindles, and, like, the deleting of content, and, you don't really own your digital content.
Right.
And so it was like Crimea, digital content going away, and something else. And I was just like, what is Jasper Fforde on? Like, how can he, as a futurist and a science fiction writer, have such a clear vision of where things are going?
Especially since it was written in such an almost absurdist, fantastical way.
Right.
Like, nothing here is even remotely close to reality.
Right. Yeah, I forget what your air affair is from.
I think the 80s, maybe? Or no, like when it was published? Or
When it was
it's
published.
Oh, it, like, takes place in, like, what feels like the 80s.
Yeah.
But I think it was,
I'm looking at my
early aughts,
I'm
maybe?
looking at my bookshelves as if it's there, as if I haven't loaned it out for the 50th time, right? I've given it to so many people.
I mean, I can look. Oh, it takes place in alternative 1985, right? Published in 2001, according to Google. July 19th, 2001. So pre 9/11, but not much
yeah.
pre 9/11.
But pre-Kindle,
Yeah.
Yep. Amazon existed
But barely.
barely, and only for books.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cocktails, efficient TV watching,
Mm-hmm.
chicken pot pie that doesn't exist anymore,
Right.
trustworthy chefs.
Yeah.
So, which dinner do you think was better, Taizu or OCD?
Oh, OCD by far.
Yeah.
I mean, Taizu was great, but OCD was amazing.
Yeah.
OCD was some of the best food I've ever had.
I was so nervous. I got so anxious that week leading up to it
That we'd oversold.
that we had oversold it.
No. I wasn't nervous about that. I knew no matter what, it was going to be good and fun and an experience and interesting.
Yeah.
And it was all those things,
Yeah.
but it also was delicious.
Yeah. It was just a remarkable meal.
Yeah.
And every bite, with one exception, was phenomenal. For me. There was just that one salad that was a little too sour.
The charred.
The charred lettuce, the
Okay.
charred greens,
Yeah.
and the lemon
Yeah.
sauce.
Oh yeah, you have a thing with sour right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made a face. I made a face when I tried it, and I saw the staff see me make the face. And I was like, oh, it was like unintentional.
Right.
Because everything had been so perfect.
Yeah.
And even that one I appreciated, but like I'm just off.
Yeah, no, it just hit your jaw
Yeah.
in the sour spot.
Hit me hard in the sour spot. I still am thinking about the freeze-dried parfait, the cloud.
Oh yeah. Which you would think that the top layer of it would be the melty part, would be the melt in your mouth part, and the bottom layer would be sort of like but it was the opposite for me. Like the bottom layer was the stuff that melted and disappeared in your mouth like
Yeah.
cotton candy almost, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. And the top layer was sort of like it crunched down like those like green plant, like those green styrofoam, like really thick green styrofoam stuff.
I know what you're talking about. Floral styrofoam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like sort of that just got dense. So
Yeah.
I was expecting that top layer to
Just go.
melt away like cotton candy, but it got dense
Yeah.
and really good. And the bottom stuff, which was like more ice creamy sort of, that I figured it was going to just like sort of become liquid, and it just sort of disappeared. I don't know
Yeah.
how. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. And then because it started with like like a celery granita.
Yeah,
It was wild.
yeah. And the creme brulee that made out of potatoes.
Yes. With like little potato chips on
With
it.
like shoestring potatoes, but sweet.
Yeah, that was good.
And what was the ice cream with that?
It was non-dairy. I think it was salted caramel maybe.
I feel like it was also something that was savory.
Yeah.
Like a savory, like something you would expect to be savory, but they made it a sweet
Yeah.
ice cream. Like
Yeah,
not
it-
potatoes, but like not potato ice cream, but like some other kind of something like that.
Turnips.
Yeah, like something.
Yeah. And now they've already changed. We went for the smoke and fire menu.
Yeah, in
and
early
they're already on a
August.
new menu. And I'm like, damn it. I can't.
Yeah, we have to go back.
You're right.
It's so good.
It was so good. I think Taizu, because it was so, I think Taizu is what unlocked for us, like, we can have a nice time if we don't have plans.
Yeah.
So Taizu was like a friend of your cousin's got us a last minute reservation. It's hard to get reservation, but not impossible like OCD.
Right.
We went a year ago, and they interviewed us at the beginning of the meal, and
Yep.
we were like, yeah, take it away. Like they ordered for us.
Yeah.
And the only thing I told them about me was like they serve like whole fish, like Brazino's, like whole fish, and I was like, I
You don't want a face.
can't deal with a face. I'm already embarrassed thinking about how to eat that in public.
Right.
So like I don't want the full fish. But other than that, like I'll try anything.
Yeah.
And that was such an amazing dinner because it was just like
Didn't know what
we didn't know what we were gonna do.
Yeah, we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're very good at the We've had incredible luck with the spontaneous
Yeah.
dinners in the last few months.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like your birthday was awesome.
If we had made all
couldn't
those
have-
reservations, it
we-
wouldn't have worked.
No, we couldn't have planned that.
Yeah.
The one thing we did plan,
Yes.
but we just decided to skip it at the last minute
Yeah.
and go completely planless
Yeah.
to like the busiest part of town
Right.
for like restaurants, like where you can't get reservations for anything.
No.
And we just went to 4 different places, all without reservations. And it ended up being, we just went from place to place to place, all within like a block and a half.
Yeah. Because that's all I could do at the time.
Right.
Yeah. Blind barber for drinks.
Yeah.
And then
Duck Duck Goat
Duck Duck Goat.
for a last minute dinner,
Right.
like open table reservation.
Yeah. Yeah, that we did make a reservation, but then like literally just walked across the street 2 minutes later.
Well, yeah, we like looked up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, they have a table at
Yeah.
6:15. It's 6. Let's go.
Yeah.
We put our name down and
Yep.
went.
And then
Rose,
and before every stop, we went to Aviary and tried to get in at Aviary.
yeah.
So,
We tried to start the evening at an aviary. We were denied because it was closed for a private event.
yeah.
So we went to get drinks at Blind Barber.
Yes.
Then we went to dinner. Then we tried to go back to aviary.
Yeah.
And were denied again. So then we went to get dessert.
And we said, where would you go for dessert? And they told us about Rosemary, this Croatian restaurant,
Yeah, it's like...
which you have now been for dinner and I have not been yet.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah. So then we just like, so Rosemary also very hard to get a table at. Like
Yeah.
I've looked.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
not
like,
it's not an easy get for
No.
sure.
But we just waltz in.
And they sat us like at the kitchen,
Yeah.
like at the counter at the kitchen. We were the only ones and
Yeah.
just had dessert there.
So we had like 3, we ordered 2 and they brought us a third because they knew it
Yeah.
was my birthday.
Yeah.
So we had these amazing desserts there.
And as soon as they plopped them down, we get a text from the aviary saying, "Okay, you can come over."
Yeah.
So we just downed our desserts and wandered over to the aviary and had a nightcap there, and
Yeah.
it was a really good evening.
It was a fun night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had good luck. And we had good the night before your birthday party
Mm-hmm.
where we went to Frasca.
Yeah.
Frasca?
Frasca.
Frasca?
Frasca, yeah.
Oh my God. We ordered so much food.
We ordered so much food.
Delicious. Got a table right before it started to rain again. Right
Yeah.
before everybody from the patio had to come inside.
Yeah.
Tremendous luck.
Yeah.
Um,
A few other, like 1 or 2 other places too that we just lucked out on.
yeah, like we went to Tango Soar after we saw
Oh, yeah.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah. And
That-
just like, yeah, we're just like, hey, let's walk towards your car and then maybe go drive somewhere. It's like, oh, or we could go into here.
Right.
Oh, and then, and a few months before that, we went to Bar Roma,
Yes.
where my friend's husband is the head
Is the
chef.
chef,
And
yeah.
so we went there and just like got a table there.
Mhm.
Also not a particularly easy get. That's a pretty popular place.
Yeah. And
Um,
because it was the day after.
and it's the day after 420. So I go and I
brought the
say hello to my friend, and he's like, "Oh, I'll bring you some dessert," which he then also brought us a salad because he decided that we weren't eating healthy enough.
Right.
So he brought us a salad, and then he said he would bring a dessert. He brought
CBD.
2 desserts and their leftover CBD-infused chocolates,
Right.
which were so good.
Yeah. And we were like, hello, fellow kids. We will have your CBD chocolates now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have had good luck in the last year or so. Like, I mean, even in Minnesota last year, in Rochester, we had some good meals.
Yeah.
That Thai place was delicious.
The Thai place was delicious. The pancake place
Yeah.
was outstanding.
That was so good. Yeah.
The Pankekin or whatever
Mhm.
that place was.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
So we found some favorites.
Yeah, good meals are my favorites.
Yeah. Well, and that's like your whole, you're from a family of people that like good food.
Yeah.
So the bar is high.
Yeah. But even if it's food that I won't like, like I have a pretty good sense of what people like, so I always like picking things for people
Yeah.
for menus. Like, oh, here's something that you will like.
Yeah.
And I'm usually pretty spot on.
Yeah.
If I do say so. Like I just have a good, like I don't like it, but I can imagine what it tastes like, and I know what taste profiles people like.
Yeah.
And have. So I'm like, oh, this is within your taste profile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not something I would touch with a 10-foot pole, but that sounds like it would be really good for somebody who likes
somebody
that
else,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
you're really good about, like, truly, I would never have to look at another cocktail menu in my life because you'll always pick the right thing for me. Like, you're never going to pick you would never pick for me something that's just your
My favorite.
your backup plan,
Right.
like your bench drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm not going to pick something for you that I would like because I think it tastes good.
Right.
If it's not something I think you would think tastes good.
Right. Yeah, so I think I could truly abdicate decisions about cocktails to you, and I would be fine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And sometimes food as well. I also like to be efficient by not looking at menus.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the challenge of picking food that I think people will like.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to touch a shrimp mango dish to save my life, but my mom, she'd be all over it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you would like that one.
Yeah.
That one sounds like it would be really good for somebody who likes shrimp and mango and avocado or whatever. Like,
right.
like for people who like that thing, like that, like the way this is described,
With
that
the
sounds
whiskey dressing.
Yeah, that
right.
sounds like it would be really, really good. Just not for me.
Yeah. But you tried the mango gazpacho in Tel Aviv, didn't you? Did you taste it?
I did.
I mean, you wouldn't ever have
and the beetroot gazpacho. Like I'm gonna taste it.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily gonna like it.
Yeah.
But I'll generally taste it.
I was just telling Dahlia and Josh this morning about the hibiscus.
The cheese stuffed hibiscus. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So. Great. Well, do you want people to follow you on the internet?
I mean, if there's not much to follow.
Or anything you want to promote? Yeah. But not on a night when we want to go.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah, go to Rosemary. It's a really good restaurant.
Yeah. I really want to go to Montverde. That's high on my list.
Yeah,
I keep checking. I think we need to go.
It's impossible to get a reservation there as well.
I think we need to go for lunch one day.
We may just have to show up and see what's what.
They hold walk-ins at 5, so.
Yeah.
But that's still on my list, and Dear Margaret is still on my list. It just wasn't.
You weren't feeling it that day.
I just super wasn't feeling it, and I had made those reservations months in advance.
Yeah, no, it was like you were looking forward to that, and then all of a sudden, like in the day or two before, you're like, this is really heavy, rich French food that is not what I was envisioning.
Right, and they don't have like cocktails. And that's part of the fun about going out to eat with you is like also having cocktails.
Yeah.
I think that surprised me that OCD didn't have any cocktails. Right? Did you get like?
No, they had spirits.
They had spirits, right? But they didn't have
drinks. They didn't have cocktails per se.
Yeah. I mean, we made up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, you can find Finding Favorites on Instagram, Finding Faves Pod, and Twitter, as long as Twitter exists. Please, X, ugh, gross. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Good Pods. If you listen on Stitcher goes away soon, so switch to Good Pods or Pocket Cast or something else for podcasts, and keep enjoying your favorite things.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Finding Favorites with Leah Jones. Please make sure to subscribe and drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. Now, go out and enjoy your favorite things.